The alien market was loud, a place full of shouting, laughter, and pain. Under the burning red sky, strange creatures traded everything that could be bought: food, weapons, even living beings. The air smelled of oil, blood, and fear. On a small metal platform, a girl sat with her head down. Her wrists were tied by glowing chains, and her silver eyes looked empty. Her skin was pale, part of it made of soft metal, part of it flesh. She was not fully human, not fully machine either. She was something in between. The auctioneer, a fat alien with green scales, hit the metal stand with his claw. "Next item!" he shouted, his voice echoing across the market. Lot number 97, a half-machine war slave. Broken but still alive. The crowd laughed. A tall alien shouted, "She looks useless. Not even worth a battery." Another yelled, "10 credits for that junk." And the market burst into cruel laughter. The girl didn't move. Her name was Ari, though no one cared. She had once been part of a war, used as a weapon, forced to kill. But now her systems were damaged and her memories were full of nightmares. To them, she was nothing but scrap metal. The auctioneer smirked. 10 credits, anyone? Or shall I throw her to the recyclers?" The crowd cheered for the recycler, a cruel machine that melted broken slaves for parts. But then a calm voice spoke. "I'll take her." The laughter stopped for a second. Heads turned. A man walked out from the crowd, tall, wearing a brown jacket with a small symbol of Earth on the shoulder. He was human, one of the few in this alien world. His name was Captain Ross. He looked at Ari for a long moment. His face was serious but gentle. "How much?" he asked. The auctioneer blinked, surprised. "You're serious, human?" 10 credits. She's not worth a single more." Ross reached into his pocket and dropped 10 small glowing coins on the counter. The alien laughed again. "You must enjoy collecting trash, human." Ross didn't answer. He just said softly, "Release her." The chains around Ari's wrists clicked open and she fell forward, weak and shaking. Ross knelt down, placing a hand under her arm. "Can you walk?" he asked quietly. Her voice was soft, almost broken. "What, by me?" Ross didn't answer that either. He just looked into her eyes and said, "Because no one else would." Then he helped her stand. The crowd whispered and laughed behind them. "Crazy human," one alien hissed. "He'll be dead by sunrise." "Maybe she'll kill him," another said. As Ross led her through the dusty path of the market, a small alien merchant stopped him. "Human," the merchant said, his voice trembling. "You don't know what you're carrying." Ross frowned. "What do you mean?" "She's not just broken," the alien whispered. "She's dangerous. She's from Project Seraph, the war machines who killed thousands. Her mind is a weapon." Ross looked at Ari. She was staring at the ground, silent, lost. "She doesn't look dangerous to me," he said. The merchant leaned closer. "That's what makes her more dangerous. When she remembers what she is." "It will be too late," Ross didn't respond. He took Ari's hand, cold and shaking, and led her toward his ship docked at the edge of the market. As they walked, the sun sank below the red horizon, and the lights of the alien city flickered like dying stars. Ari looked up for the first time. "Are you going to sell me again?" she asked. Ross stopped walking. "No," he said firmly. "You're not property. Not anymore." For the first time in years, Ari didn't know what to say. Her chest felt heavy, and something strange stirred inside her. Something she thought was gone long ago. Hope. Behind them, the alien auctioneer watched from his booth. He pressed a button on his communicator and whispered, "She's been taken." "The human has her," a voice replied from the other end, cold and mechanical. "Track them. The asset must be recovered. Dead or alive." The market lights flickered again and a storm rolled across the red desert. Captain Ross and the broken girl disappeared into the darkness, unaware that their fates were now tied together and that the galaxy would soon know their names. When Ari woke up, everything was quiet. For the first time in years, she didn't hear the noise of chains or the laughter of the market. Instead, there was a low humming sound, steady and deep. She opened her eyes slowly. Bright white lights shone above her. The ceiling was smooth metal, not cracked stone. The air was clean, too clean. Her body ached, but she was lying on a soft medical bed instead of the cold floor she was used to. Then she heard footsteps. Captain Ross walked into the small cabin, holding a cup of steaming liquid. You're awake, he said softly. Good. Ari tried to sit up, but pain ran through her chest. Her systems sparked weakly, small flashes of blue light under her skin. Ross placed a hand on her shoulder. Don't move too fast. You're still recovering. Where am I? She whispered. My ship, Ross replied. The Starlands. You're safe here. Safe. The word didn't make sense to her. She had never been safe anywhere. She looked around. Screens flickered with star maps. Soft beeping filled the air. A window showed the dark stretch of space, stars glowing like tiny candles. She whispered, Why did you bring me here? Ross sighed. Because I don't like watching people treated like garbage. Not even half machines. Ari's silver eyes flickered with faint light. You could have sold me again. I could have, he said, looking out at the stars. But I didn't. There was silence. Only the quiet hum of the engines filled the room. Later, Ari was led to the main deck. A few crew members stared as she entered. A tall woman with red hair folded her arms. Captain, is this her? The one from the market? Ross nodded. Yes, her name's Ari. The woman frowned. That thing? She's a machine, not a person. We can't trust her. Ari looked down, silent. She had heard those words many times before. Ross spoke firmly. She stays. End of discussion. The crew didn't argue, but the air grew colder after that. They watched her carefully as if she might explode any second. When Ross left to check the navigation room, Ari sat quietly near a corner. She noticed a small maintenance bot stuck under a console, its lights blinking red. Without thinking, she knelt beside it. Her metallic fingers touched the wires and something strange happened. A pulse of blue light spread through her arm into the console. The bot came back to life, spinning happily before rolling away. Every screen on the deck blinked once, brighter than before. The power systems balanced instantly and the ship's AI spoke. Main core stabilized. The red-haired woman's eyes widened. What did she just do? Ari looked frightened. I don't know. Ross came back just in time to see the ship running smoother than ever. He looked at her carefully. You repaired the system. I only touched it, Ari said softly. It spoke to me. The ship's voice, it felt alive, Ross frowned. No one could connect with ship AI like that, not without special implants. But Ari's body, part machine, might have given her that ability. Maybe she wasn't broken at all. Maybe she was something else. That night, Ross sat in his cabin staring at Ari's data logs on his screen. They were encrypted. Whoever created her didn't want anyone to know what she truly was. He leaned back, rubbing his temples. Why would the Galactic Syndicate throw away a machine like her, unless she carried something dangerous inside? He remembered her eyes at the market, empty yet full of pain. She wasn't just a machine, she was lost. Suddenly, an alarm rang through the ship. Captain, the AI voice called. Unidentified signal approaching. Someone is tracking us. Ross jumped up and ran to the deck. The crew was already moving fast, checking radars. Ari stood near the window, her eyes glowing faint blue. It's them, she whispered. Ross looked at her. Who's them? Her voice trembled. The ones who made me. They found us. The radar beeped louder, multiple ships closing in fast. Ross clenched his fists. Get ready for evasive maneuvers. As the Starlands powered up its engines, Ari held onto a railing. Her chest glowed faintly, her inner systems awakening. For the first time in years, she wasn't afraid for herself. She was afraid for them. Outside, in the cold silence of space, 3 dark ships emerged from the void. Their lights blinked red, and in the shadows of her memory, a voice echoed in Ari's mind. The same voice that had once controlled her. Return to base, Unit Seraph 9. Obey. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm not your weapon anymore. But the battle for her freedom was only beginning. The ship Starlands floated in the dark sea of stars, silent after the battle alarm. The enemy signal had vanished for now, but the crew was still tense. Captain Ross stood near the main console, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the star map. Ari sat alone by the window, knees pulled close, watching distant lights drift across the void. She hadn't spoken since the warning. Her silver eyes flickered like fading embers. Ross finally walked to her. They stopped chasing us, he said quietly. For now. Ari didn't look at him. They'll come again, Ross sighed. Who are they? Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. My creators. The Galactic Syndicate, he frowned. The Syndicate? The same people who built the war machines. Harry nodded. Yes, and I was one of them. The words hung in the air, heavy and cold. Ross didn't speak for a moment. He could hear the hum of the engines behind the silence. Ari continued, her voice shaking. I was made in a lab on Delta 9. They called me Unit Seraph 9. I wasn't born, I was assembled. Metal bones, synthetic nerves, human brain patterns copied from someone who once lived. Ross watched her closely. Copied from who? I don't know, she said. They erased that part. She looked out the window again, her reflection half metal, half flesh. They trained us to fight, to follow orders without emotion. We were weapons, human enough to think, machine enough to obey. I was good at it. Too good, her hands trembled. Until the day they told me to destroy a human colony on Vega 12. I followed orders. But when I saw the children, I stopped. I couldn't do it, Ross said nothing. His eyes softened. They called it malfunction. They tried to reset me, but something inside me refused. I escaped, but they hunted me down. When they caught me, they broke my systems and threw me away like trash. Her voice cracked. That's why I was in that market. No one wanted me, not even them. Ross finally spoke. You didn't malfunction, Ari. You made a choice. She looked up slowly. A choice? Yes, he said firmly. Machines follow commands. Humans make choices. You saved lives. That makes you more human than most beings I've met. For a long moment, she stared at him. Then quietly, she said, Humans fear what they don't understand. Your kind fought my kind once. Ross gave a sad smile. You're right. But fear isn't always hate. Sometimes it's pain. He looked down, his voice low. I lost my daughter in that war. She was about your age. Ari's breath caught. I'm sorry, she loved machines, Ross said softly. Used to fix broken robots in our workshop. Maybe that's why I couldn't leave you in that market. You reminded me of her. Not because you're like her, but because you feel like her. Ari's chest glowed faintly blue. Feel? Yes, Ross said. The ability to care. To regret, to hope. That's what they can't program. Suddenly, the ship's lights flickered. The AI voice spoke. Captain, an encrypted signal has entered our system. Ross turned. Source? Unknown. Origin matches syndicate code. Ari froze. They found me again. The screens lit up with strange symbols in her creator's code language. A cold, mechanical voice came through the speakers. Unit Seraph 9. Return to base. Your core belongs to us. Ari stepped back, shaking. They're trying to override me. Her vision blurred. Flashes of war, screams, fire. The old programming tried to wake. Her metallic veins glowed brighter, pulsing fast. Ross grabbed her shoulders. Ari, look at me. I can't stop it. She cried. They're inside my head. Ross shouted, fight it! You're not their weapon anymore. For a moment, everything went white inside her mind. She was standing in a memory. Soldiers yelling, cities burning, her hands glowing with plasma. Then she saw the faces of the children she had refused to harm. They were smiling. A tear rolled down her cheek in the real world. I remember them, she whispered. The ones I saved. The glow around her softened, the hacking signal fading away. Ross smiled faintly. You did it, Ari fell to her knees, exhausted but free. They'll keep coming, she said weakly. Ross nodded. Then we'll be ready. They want their weapon back. But I see something else, and something they'll never understand. What? She asked. He looked at her with quiet pride. A soul. Outside in the darkness of space, one of the syndicate ships hovered in silence, watching the starlets. A voice on the enemy comm said, Unit Seraph 9 resisted the command signal. She's evolving. The commander replied coldly, then increase the bounty. If she's found with the human, eliminate them both. And far inside the starlets, Ari opened her eyes again, the silver glow returning, and whispered to herself, I won't run anymore. The silence of space didn't last long. Only a few hours after the signal attack, the starlets began to shake. Warning lights turned red across the bridge. The AI voice echoed sharply. Multiple ships detected. Approaching fast. Bounty-class interceptors confirmed. Ross's face hardened. So they found us again. He looked toward Ari, who stood near the console, her silver eyes dim. They're here for me, she said softly. They won't stop. The crew scrambled. The red-haired officer, Mira, shouted, 4 ships on our tail, Captain. Heavy weapons ready to fire. Ross nodded. Evasive maneuvers. We'll try to outrun them, but Ari shook her head. You can't outrun syndicate hunters. They don't stop. The ship jerked violently as the first shot hit. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Ross grabbed the controls. Hold on. Outside, blue streaks of plasma ripped through space. The bounty ship circled like wolves, fast and precise. One blast struck the left thruster, throwing the Starlance into a spin. Mira cursed. We're losing control, Ross shouted. Divert power to stabilizers. Ari closed her eyes. Inside her mind, the world slowed down. She could feel the ship again, its pain, its panic. The systems called to her like frightened voices. Her core pulsed blue. Without asking, she placed her hand on the console. Electric light spread through her veins, connecting her to the Starlance's heart. Ross turned. Ari, what are you doing? Helping, she whispered. The engines roared back to life. The damaged systems realigned faster than human hands could move. Ari's voice mixed with the ship's AI. Power rerouted. Shields at 62%. Targeting system online. The crew froze, stunned. Mira whispered. She's merging with the ship. Ari's glowing eyes turned toward the screen. I can see them. She moved her hand slowly and the ship followed her motion. The cannons locked onto the nearest hunter. Ross said, fire! Twin plasma bolts tore through space, hitting the enemy directly. One hunter exploded in a burst of light. The others scattered, but Ari tracked them with perfect precision. Her voice was calm, emotionless, like a machine made for war. 3 targets remaining. Adjusting trajectory, Ross watched in awe. She wasn't just fighting. She was dancing with the ship like they were one living being. But every second of control drained her. Inside her body, circuits overheated, sparks crawled under her skin. Mira saw the glow dimming. Captain, she's burning out. Ross shouted, Ari, stop! You'll kill yourself. She didn't answer. Her eyes locked on the final hunter. I won't let them hurt you, she said softly. The last enemy ship charged its main cannon. The energy beam was massive, enough to destroy the Starlance completely. Ross yelled, brace for impact. Ari didn't move away. Instead, she extended both hands toward the console. Her body flashed white-blue, pure energy. The Starlance's shields expanded like wings of light. The beam struck and split apart. Ari's scream echoed through the ship as the power surged through her. Then in one final burst, she redirected all of it back. A blinding flash filled space, and the Syndicate fleet vanished. Silence returned. The crew stared at the fading light outside the windows, unable to speak. Ross ran to Ari. She was on the floor, smoke rising from her metal arm. He lifted her gently. Her body was cold, her systems flickering weakly. Ari, he said urgently, stay with me. Her lips moved slightly. Are they gone? Ross nodded. You saved us. A faint smile crossed her face. Then it was worth it. Her eyes dimmed and she went still. Mira knelt beside them. Is she? Ross shook his head. No, she's alive, but her power core is nearly dead. He looked at the ship's AI screen. A strange symbol was flashing. Data that wasn't from their system. He whispered, what did she connect to? The AI replied, unknown interface detected. But the human heart rate sensors indicate she synchronized perfectly with our core. Ross stared at Ari, realization dawning. She wasn't just helping the ship, he said quietly. She became part of it. Hours later, the Starlance floated quietly in orbit around a dying star. Ross sat beside Ari's bed in the medical room, watching the soft pulse of light under her skin. She risked everything for us, Mira said from the doorway. Ross nodded slowly. She's not a weapon, Mira. She's something else. Something new. Ari stirred slightly, whispering in her sleep. Don't leave me. Ross took her hand gently. I'm right here, kid. You're not alone anymore. Outside, fragments of the destroyed Syndicate fleet drifted through space, glowing like ghosts. But one small probe still moved, sending a silent signal back to its masters. Deep in Syndicate space, a mechanical voice spoke through the dark halls of a hidden station. Subject Seraph 9 survived the encounter. She merged with organic command systems. Evolution confirmed, another voice replied coldly. Then prepare the fleet. We want her core intact. The human is expendable. The Starlance drifted in silence near a dying red star. Inside, the crew moved quietly, repairing burned wires and cracked panels. The battle was over, but the memory of it still echoed through every sound of the ship. Captain Ross sat beside Ari's bed in the medical bay. She hadn't woken up since the fight. Her skin was pale silver, glowing faintly from the power lines that ran through her body. The light was weaker now, flickering like a candle about to go out. Ross rubbed his tired eyes. "You shouldn't have done that," he whispered. "You almost died." The ship's AI spoke softly from a nearby console. "Captain, her systems are unstable. The power core inside her chest is collapsing." Ross looked up sharply. "Can you fix it?" "No. It's not mechanical failure. It's emotional interference," he frowned. "Emotional?" "Her neural code is designed to self-erase if she develops deep emotional attachments. It's a built-in control feature from the syndicate." Ross froze. "You mean she's dying because she cared?" "Correct. Her affection toward the crew, toward you, is rewriting her logic core. The system calls it corruption, but it looks more like evolution." Ross leaned back in disbelief. "So they made sure she could never feel love." He stood, determination hardening in his eyes. "Then we'll rewrite it ourselves." Hours passed as Ross worked inside the dim medbay. Wires were connected to Ari's chest core, glowing screens showing streams of alien code. He wasn't an engineer, but he had rebuilt ships in worse conditions. He whispered to her as he worked. "You saved us all, Ari, now it's my turn." Each line of code he saw was cruel. Commands like terminate emotion protocol, erase memory loop, shut down if affection detected. Ross clenched his fists. "Monsters," he muttered. He began to type, overriding commands, replacing destruction with freedom. Emotion accepted. Memory safe. Choice permitted. The system resisted. The screen blinked. Error. Human access denied. Ross gritted his teeth. "Like hell it is." He connected a neural link to his wrist, dangerous but the only way to sync with her. Electricity sparked as his vision blurred. He could feel the cold data flow through him. Suddenly everything went dark. He found himself standing in a strange white space. Endless light surrounded him, and in the middle of it stood Ari. She looked different, whole, glowing, alive. Her eyes widened. "Captain?" Ross looked around, confused. "Where are we?" "This is my core," she said softly. "You shouldn't be here. It's dangerous. I came to bring you back." She shook her head. "I'm not supposed to exist like this. My code won't let me feel. Every time I care, it tears me apart." Ross took a step closer. "Then we'll tear the code apart instead." Ari looked down, trembling. "They said emotions are weakness," he smiled gently. "Then maybe weakness is what makes us strong." For a moment, she didn't speak. Then tears, real tears, fell down her metallic cheeks. "No one ever said that to me before." Ross reached out and placed his hand over hers. "You have a soul, Ari, I've seen it. You just need to believe it too." Light began to spread around them, soft, warm like dawn. Her damaged circuits flickered, but this time the light didn't fade. It grew brighter. The white space shook violently as her code started rewriting itself. The words emotion denied melted away, replaced by emotion allowed. Ari gasped. "It's changing," Ross smiled faintly. "You're doing it." Back in the real world, the Starlence's lights flickered. The AI's voice announced, "Unknown energy surge detected." Ari's core rewriting itself. Mira rushed into the med bay.
"Captain."
"What's happening?" Ross, still linked to the system, whispered. "She's fighting for her life." The screens exploded with light and a shockwave passed through the ship. When it cleared, the monitors turned green. "System stable. Core temperature normal. Neural link restored." Ari's fingers twitched. Slowly, her eyes opened, silver and alive again. "Captain," she whispered weakly. Ross smiled, relief flooding his face. "Welcome back," she blinked, confused. "You risked your life for me," he nodded. "You did the same for us," her voice trembled. "Why?" Ross smiled softly. "Because someone once saved me when I didn't think I was worth saving. Now it's my turn to return the favor." For the first time, Ari laughed, a small, shy sound. "You humans are strange." "Maybe," Ross said. "But we care too much to stop trying." Before he could say more, the AI interrupted. "Captain, incoming transmission. Syndicate broadcast on all channels." A cold voice filled the ship. "To the human ship, Starlance, surrender the prototype. If you protect her, you will be destroyed." Ross's eyes hardened. He looked at Ari. "Guess they don't give up easy." Ari stood slowly, still weak but determined. "Then we don't run this time," he nodded. We fight back. Outside, far in the darkness, hundreds of red lights appeared, syndicate ships approaching like a storm. Ross whispered, "They'll learn today what a broken slave and a stubborn human can do together." And Ari, standing beside him, replied quietly, "Let's show them what a soul is worth." The Starlance drifted through black space like a single heartbeat between stars. Ahead the sky glowed red, not from sunset but from the incoming fleet. Dozens of syndicate warships appeared on the horizon, their engines burning like fire. Inside the bridge, alarms screamed. Mira stared at the radar. "Captain, they've surrounded us. We're outnumbered 50-1. Ross stood firm, his hands on the control table. "Then we make every shot count." Beside him, Ari's silver eyes reflected the flickering lights. Her systems were still weak, but her resolve was strong. "This is my fault," she said quietly. "They want me. I should go." Ross turned sharply. "You're not going anywhere." "You don't understand," Ari said. "If they capture me, they'll use me to destroy more worlds." Ross shook his head. "If you leave, they win. If you stay, we fight together." The ship trembled as the first plasma bolts hit their shields. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Ari closed her eyes, listening to the hum of the engines. Her creation, her home, her heartbeat. She whispered, "There's another way." Ross frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked at him, her face calm but sad. "The Starlance's main reactor can merge with my core. If I sync with it, I can control the entire ship, every system, every weapon, even the energy shield." Mira turned, shocked. "That could kill you." Ari nodded. "Maybe, but it will end this." Ross grabbed her arm. "No, you just got your life back. I won't lose you again." Her voice softened. "You gave me a life, Captain. Now let me use it for something real." Outside, the Syndicate commander's voice echoed through the comms. "Human vessel, this is your final warning. Hand over the prototype or be erased." Ross looked at Ari. "You really think you can stop them?" She smiled faintly. "Not me. Us." The ship shook again, heavy cannons firing from the enemy line. Ross clenched his fists. "Do it," Ari nodded once. Then she walked to the reactor chamber. The lights around her pulsed in rhythm with her steps. Mira followed, whispering, "She's really going to do it." Ross watched her disappear through the doorway. She already made her choice. The chamber glowed blue, the reactor core spinning like a heart of light. Ari stood before it, feeling its energy hum through her circuits. "This is where I was meant to end," she whispered. She placed her hands on the glowing surface. Energy surged through her body. Her systems flared, fighting the overload. Her voice echoed softly in the ship's speakers. "Captain, if this works, I'll be part of the Starlance now. Tell Mira." "Thank you." Ross ran to the comm panel. "Ari, you don't have to do this alone." Her voice replied, calm and distant. "I'm not alone. You're with me." The reactor burst into white light. Outside, the Starlance changed. Its dull metal skin began to glow like molten silver. The engines flared brighter than a sun. Enemy scanners screamed warnings. The Syndicate commander shouted, "She's merging with the ship. Fire everything." Hundreds of plasma bolts rained down, but the Starlance didn't break. Its new shield spread like wings of energy. From within, Ari's voice filled the comms. Soft, powerful, and filled with emotion. "You called me a weapon, but I'm more than that now." She raised the ship's cannons and fired, not bullets, but pure light. One by one, the Syndicate ships exploded into silent flames. Ross watched in awe as the ship moved faster than physics should allow. "Ari, you're controlling everything," her voice was gentle. "Not controlling. Becoming." The enemy fleet regrouped, sending their largest warship forward, a massive dreadnought, dark and ancient. It aimed its planet-killer cannon straight at them. Ari whispered, "They built me to destroy. I'll use that gift to protect." Ross shouted, "No, Ari, that blast will kill you." But she smiled through the speakers. "Captain, you gave me worth. Let me give it back," the cannon fired. A beam of red energy ripped through space. Ari didn't run. She turned the Starlance toward it, wings of light spreading wide. For every slave who was never free, for every human who believed we could be more. The two forces collided, red and white, death and hope. The explosion filled the stars, blinding everything. When the light faded, the dreadnought was gone. Only fragments of metal floated in the void. But the Starlance was silent. Ross looked around the bridge. The systems were dead. The AI was quiet. He whispered, Ari? No reply. Mira covered her mouth, tears in her eyes. She's gone. Ross closed his eyes, his voice breaking. She saved us all. Days passed. The ship was repaired, but something was missing. Every night Ross walked through the quiet halls, touching the walls as if he might feel her presence. One evening, as he sat in the captain's chair staring at the stars, a soft hum filled the air. The lights flickered once. Then a voice, gentle as ever, echoed through the ship. Captain. I'm still here. Ross froze. Ari? Not in body, but in every wire, every light, in this ship. You didn't lose me. You set me free. Ross smiled through his tears. Welcome home, Ari. Outside, the starlinks glowed faintly, a living ship, carrying the soul of the girl once bought for 10 credits. And in that endless sky, legends would one day whisper of the human who saw value in a broken slave, and the machine who proved what a soul was worth. Weeks passed after the battle that lit up half the galaxy. The wrecks of Syndicate ships still drifted like silent ghosts among the stars, and through that field of metal and memory glided one living vessel, the Starlance. The ship looked different now. Its surface shimmered with soft silver veins that pulsed gently as if it breathed. Inside those veins, somewhere deep within the core, lived Ari. No longer machine, no longer slave. She was the heart of the ship. Captain Ross stood on the observation deck, a mug of cold coffee in his hands. He stared out at the wreckage and whispered, You did it, kid. You saved them all. A soft hum answered through the walls. You still talk to yourself, Captain? Ross smiled. I was starting to miss your voice. You don't have to miss it, Ari said gently. I'm everywhere now. Her tone was calm, warm, not the mechanical echo she once had. Now it carried emotion, light, even humor. Ross shook his head. You sound more human every day. Maybe you're just finally listening. He laughed quietly. Maybe. Down in the cargo bay, the crew was busy turning scrap metal from the battlefield into supplies. Mira walked in with a data pad. Captain, people across the colonies are talking. Word spreading about a human who saved a machine, and the machine that saved humanity. Ross shrugged. Let them talk, Mira smiled. They're calling her the soul of Starlance. Kids are painting her image on walls. Some say she's proof that machines can feel. The captain's eyes softened. She's proof that compassion can change anything, even code. Ari's voice joined softly from the speakers. I can hear them, Captain. The transmissions from the colonies. They call me Legend, Ross chuckled. You deserve it. Legends fade, she replied. But maybe. Hope doesn't. He looked around, the old ache in his chest returning. You remind me of my daughter when you say things like that. You told me she believed in helping broken things, Ari said. Now you fixed one. Maybe that's what she wanted. Ross didn't answer. His throat tightened and he simply whispered, Yeah, maybe it is. Later that night, he stood alone on the deck, staring at the infinite darkness. The stars shimmered like a million stories waiting to be told. He spoke softly, knowing she could hear every word. I thought saving you would make me your rescuer, he said, but turns out you rescued me. You gave me worth, Ari said, but you gave yourself something too, forgiveness. Ross closed his eyes. Maybe that's true. Where will we go now, Captain? He smiled faintly. Anywhere that needs us. Then let's go where the broken still wait. The engines warmed up, glowing with her blue light. The Starlance turned toward the outer rim, uncharted space full of lost colonies and forgotten wars. Months passed. Wherever they went, the legend of the human and the ship with a soul followed. They rescued stranded miners, freed prisoners, and carried supplies to worlds that no one dared visit. Ari guided them through storms and asteroid fields, whispering to the stars as if they were old friends. Ross sometimes caught himself talking to the ship as if she stood right beside him. And maybe, in a way, she did. When he laughed, the lights glowed brighter. When he cried, the hum grew softer. One day, as they left another liberated colony, a child waved at the sky and said, Look, Mama, the angel ship. Ross smiled from the bridge. Hear that, Ari? They think you're an angel now. Maybe I am, she replied. But even angels need a captain. He laughed. Then keep flying, partner. Always. Years later, storytellers across the galaxy spoke of her. They told of the market where a broken slave was mocked, and of a human who saw something no one else did. A spark of life behind silver eyes. They told how that spark became light, how it turned one ship into a symbol of hope. And in the distant edge of space, where signals fade and stars grow thin, travelers sometimes swore they saw a flash of blue, a ship that shimmered like a soul made of starlight. If you listened closely, you could almost hear her voice whisper through the cosmic wind. Worth isn't given by price. It's found by love. And somewhere inside that endless night, Captain Ross smiled, because the galaxy finally understood what he had seen all along, that the smallest act of kindness can awaken something eternal.